Hello team, welcome back to another Line Warcast. This is your map today. I mean, it's pretty much the biggest mix of geographical features you can ask for on a map. Our two teams on Alpha Team, Bladek in blue, Bear Eagles 88 in red, Athena in orange, and Tim Baylor in teal. And on Bravo Team, we got the Bigler in pink, Matrix 33 Russ in green. Someone said that my nickname sucks in purple, and Deedland in black. So Alpha Team has spawned kind of on the right-hand side of the map here. Bear Eagles in the bottom, Bladek in the middle, right beside Athena, and then Tim Baylor in the north. And then over to the left, I thought maybe we're on more than one time speed. It just feels like it's going so quick already in a 4v4. In the bottom, Deedland's going for 2 towns, 2 barracks, and an airport. Someone said that my nickname sucks. 2 factories, a town and a barracks here. And then Bigler in the north with 2 towns, 2 barracks, and a factory. And then where is... Because I'm not missing it. There's another player that we're missing. Deedland nickname. Where's Matrix? This is the best part about 4v4. Okay, so Matrix is right here. My apologies. Matrix going for 3 factories and a barracks in the south. Close to Deedland with the air support. So it looks like Matrix and Bear Eagles are going to get into it here. Bladek might be able to help reinforce from the north. And then Athena, it depends on which side Athena wants to go, either to the north or to the south. It's very interesting. There's a lot of factory punch here between Bladek and Athena. So let's see how these two decide to put their resources, like where they decide to push. Already, we're seeing that this is going to become a very important choke on this map, potentially. Baylor's trying to go around the top. Bigler defending. And Bigler and Nickname are going for a little bit of a push here. On top of this production of Tim Baylor. So this is good because in a lot of ways, all these units that Tim Baylor have that could be going around to the north have to stop to defend against this. Against this infantry rush. Gas now for Athena makes a lot of sense because of these tanks. And a relatively large artillery and infantry army in the south for Bear Eagles. Second airport now for Deedland. So Black might be able to show up with a bunch of planes here. Relatively quickly. Bigler's going to hold on, even though this looks a little bit sketchy. I don't think this infantry is going to be able to get on top of these mountains quick enough. And just more barracks or nickname. 2 more barracks here. This could really heat up in this entire front here in the center of the map. 6 tanks for Athena are looping their way around to try to attack Bigler's position here. Bigler's a little bit exposed. Nickname's sending some infantry up to plug the gap, which is smart. And Bigler does hold this position even though an artillery piece is attacking the barracks. Another factory for Bigler, I like that play. Artillery battle between Bladek and Nickname. And it's strikers from Deedland. So over time, Deedland's going to be able to get a bunch of strikers here that can pretty much hit Bear Eagle's factory. And will, in general, be able to protect, against a red push, a blue push, even a yellow push, defend Nickname's base as well. Clearly, this is the part of the map that both teams are focusing a little bit on at the moment. Good defensive line from Bigler here. And if Nickname can stop these 6 tanks, it's going to be really clutch. But if Nickname can't stop these 6 tanks, it might be a big problem for Bigler. Because of these two cities are relatively, or 2 towns, pardon me, are relatively exposed. Nickname's doing their best to body block these tanks, and so far it's succeeding. Tim Baylor is also in on this push though with an artillery piece and a lot of artillery or infantry, pardon me, from Athena. This is a very scary push. This is a good push from Alpha Team. Pushing on both the top and of course through the central part of the map against Bigler. Good amount of artillery for Bladek. Winning this artillery battle against Nickname just because of the numbers alone. And we're just checking out the rest of the map. Power plant now for Deedland, who has a refinery already, and another airport. So Deedland's going to show up with a bunch of planes. These two strikers, I mean, they can reach all the way up here. This is the strength of the strikers. They likely aren't going to be able to kill these tanks before both the factory and the town fall. But in general, it's almost like the best that it could possibly have gone for Bravo Team. Like, I maybe shouldn't say that quite yet, because these 4 tanks are still loose and probably going to kill another town. But when those 6 tanks are rolling in, I mean, there's a chance that this would just end the game for Bigler in general, and it still might. We'll see. The strength of tanks on display there. 1 commando now for Matrix is going to run all the way to the back. Love that play. Sends all these infantry on a wild goose chase to try to catch this thing. This thing, as the commando loves to be referred to as. 3 SAMs from Matrix. There's no planes on the... Well, I mean, there's planes on the way from Bear Eagles, but the airport's not done yet. Yeah, these tanks actually do just end the game. It's very strong. And since there's no airplanes in any sort of bulk to destroy them, they're just going to do so well. Deedland strikers are attacking Bladek's artillery. Bigler is not going to be out of the game just because of all these artillery pieces that are in the mountains are going to, I mean, essentially defend this last building for Bigler, who's actually building 2 factories in the back. That's very smart. If you lose all your buildings, then you're out of the game. Another factory for Tim Baylor, who's putting more pressure on here. If Tim Baylor started maybe like massing up some artillery and slow pushing this, maybe could work, but it's a pretty good defensive line really when it comes down to it from Bigler with those 2 lines of defensive units. Artillery in the back. More tanks from Athena. These are very difficult to deal with, but Deedland now has 3 airports up and running and producing strikers. There's about 6 of them already. More power plants for Deedland because they want to be able to keep running those airplanes, which is very important. Transport jet for Bear Eagles, who's likely going to start commando dropping somewhere on the bottom part of the map. Tanks get 1 barracks. They're probably going to get this other one. But here come the strikers. Let's see how quick these strikers for Deedland can get into position. 6 tanks are going to be able to destroy barracks very quickly, though. So at the cost of maybe 3 tanks, 2 of them already go down. 3rd one drops. Barracks goes down. And now, I mean, these tanks are going to get cleaned up. But they do snipe that barracks. Bigler's still hanging on in this mountain range. Good artillery SAM army from Bladek. But slowly, Matrix and Nickname might be in a position to start pushing a little bit. Especially with all this airplane cover. Baylor's going around the north and the south here, really encircling all of this from Bigler, who has 3 factories in the back and building tanks. This could be really cool. If Bigler just showed up with a bunch of tanks, sat on them for a little bit. Alpha Team thinks that they're out of the game, and then they just roll through with a bunch of tanks. I mean, it's worked before in games that we've watched. Airport for Matrix, which is really good. Luckily for Matrix, they're going to see this drop as soon as these 2 commandos land. I wonder if Matrix is going to be able to make a dot command for these infantry quick enough to stop those commandos from getting past them. 5th factory, pardon me, for Bladek. And Nickname's running in. This artillery for Blue is exposed. And with the help of Deedland, this will be a good push. And here comes the push from Matrix in the south as well. Good coordination from Bravo team. Deedland Strikers doing a good job to cover here in the north. And it's a strong defensive position from Bigler. But Baylor's got the artillery pieces that are in reach of this barracks and certainly this defensive line. And over time, just because of the amount of production that Baylor has up here, this position will fall for Bigler, and they'll have to rely on these 4 factories with all these tanks. Another power plant for Deedland. Makes a lot of sense to make sure those planes can continue to fly. And good call from Bear Eagles to dig in here. This is a large army though. So this is really only going to be able to buy time. There's a lot of artillery pieces here for Matrix. And at some point, I think Bladeck's going to have to push in from the north to try to cut all this off. But Bladeck, of course, has their own problem to deal with right now, which is this push from Nickname. Good encirclement from Baylor. The defensive line bonuses are negated if the units are getting attacked from behind, so slowly these 4 artillery pieces are going to be able to destroy these 4 artillery pieces for Bigler. Another sortie of planes in the north. The Phoenix units are all the way back here, which is impressive, and somehow Deedland's got a bunch of units, all these infantry up here, running by this artillery piece. You gotta love 4v4, it's just so hectic. 4 tanks from Mafina, which are great to tank a bunch of shots of the artillery, which is gonna allow Bladeck to start pushing a little bit. And another factory for Athena, who's got a depot on the way, and helicopters. Pardon me. This Matrix army is scary. Let's see, so these commandos got cleaned up. And a drop's going on for Matrix, who's going around the back. It's a great idea to land here. But potentially calculated or just very lucky. Bear Eagles has infantry already there. Huge battle in the center of the map. There's a lot of unit with the tanks of Athena. I think that Alpha team actually take this out. Because there's a lot of artillery pieces for Nickname, but the fodder for Purple is starting to disappear. All this infantry, and now the tanks are going to be able to get on top of these artillery pieces. Let's see what's going on here. Baylor's almost done breaking this position. Now here come all these tanks from Bigler. Off of only 1 refinery is the one problem. So how long Bigler can move all these tanks off of just 1 refinery is an open question. And Nickname's still actually doing alright. It's a lot of artillery. If Deedland's infantry can get in front of these artillery pieces, even I guess maybe with the tanks, Athena just has enough here. Yeah. No, Nickname's in trouble there. Deedland has just packs of infantry everywhere. There's 2 infantry already on top of this factory behind enemy lines. And here comes this counter push from both Athena and Bladeck pushing to the south. Deedland's got 4 airports now. There's not a lot of anti-air. So these strikers are going to do a great job against all this artillery. And Bigler's getting revenge on Baylor in the north. With so many tanks. Baylor's got it good though, because Baylor can dig in at this position and kind of flip the script on Bigler. And really denies this this refinery. 3 tanks from Athena on top of the industry. All of these strikers for Deedland doing a great job against this artillery. Here come the SAMs from Athena. There's enough SAMs that, I mean, this can do a lot of damage, especially because Deedland's airplanes are actually out of missiles at this point. They're just using their autocannon, which makes it difficult for them to engage the SAM units. Here's this push from Matrix. This will be very difficult for Bear Eagles to hang on. The helicopters are great, but there are a decent number of SAMs here. From Matrix, as long as they're close enough, they're going to be able to destroy this helicopter. And we see that these SAMs are moving in position, so great play. Artillery SAM from Orange and Blue against Artillery for Nickname. It's really the planes that are the only thing that Nickname can kind of rely on for support here. Maybe some of Matrix's units, but Matrix would also probably just like to keep pushing in this position because they're doing a lot of damage against Bear Eagles. Big Basantos drop on this airport. The BBD, of course, when the commandos drop directly on a high value target. The DPS of these commandos, like how quickly they're going to be able to kill this airport, is pretty quick. It's good defense from Bear Eagles, pardon me, but like in general with the 4 commandos landing here, it's unless there's a bunch of units around the airport's just going to go down. And I better be right. Yeah, 2 commandos are still left. So let's just go big picture so we can... Yeah, that gets destroyed. Good push from Bladek to cut off these reinforcements that Matrix is sending towards Bear Eagles' place. I keep saying Bear Eagles or something. Some combination of that. Bigler's got a bunch of tanks. These are the same tanks that were pushed at the very beginning. Athena's helicopters are going to help Baylor clean this up. And a good amount of SAMs for Baylor. What a game. This is very close. Bigler's in a little bit of... Or Bear Eagles, pardon me, is in a little bit of trouble in the south. But because this part of the fight is going so well for the teammates on Alpha Team, I think as long as Bear Eagles just holds out and buys some time, that Blue and Orange are going to be able to do devastating damage here. City on the way for Nickname. The tanks for Bigler going through the mountains. And these tanks get cleaned up. This last one is about to get cleared, and it does. And just checking the back of the map, it looks like it's nearly capped everything. Huge artillery army. And a good amount of SAMs to provide the cover. The infantry's backing up, which is the play to just give up these 2 barracks. I think there's no way that they'll be able to stop this. And Bladek's slowly starting to send some artillery in to help Bear Eagles. And this is going to get tough for Matrix to hold. Just based on how many units from Yellow and from Orange and Blue are going to be able to show up here. Still so many tanks from Bigler. And an airport for Tim Baylor in the back. Which I like. When Bigler's going for such heavy tank presence here, some planes could be nice, helicopters potentially. Athena's still struggling with the gas. Is there another depot somewhere or another energy well? There actually isn't. In an easy location for Alpha Team to take. Matrix has cleaned up this part of Bear Eagle's base. Bear Eagle's still going for economy, that's really smart. The SAMs are going back to the mountains. These planes are likely going to need to be used to defend here. Good play from Bladek to just go around this defensive position instead of just trying to push in through it. And if Athena could get the gas to move these tanks, I think that Nickname would be in a huge amount of trouble. I mean, Athena could really just drive the tanks onto this city if there's enough energy for it. Matrix Russa's army in the south here is about to get sandwiched between Bear Eagles and Bladek. And importantly, what that'll allow is it'll allow for Bear Eagles to start sending all the production just forward instead of having to deal with all this stuff in the forest. Bigler's tanks are now on top of Tim Baylor's production in this forest. They're going to be able to destroy that factory, certainly the barracks as well. Baylor's going for helicopters and some just-in-case buildings in the back, factory and a barracks beside Tim Baylor's town. Nickname's doing their best to hold on here. Here come the planes from Deedland. Because this is such a sketchy situation for Bravo team, the planes kind of have to run in at this point. There's so many SAMs. Hopefully for Deedland, these planes focus on these SAMs in the south and don't start drifting towards the Phoenix SAMs in the mountains. But a few of them will probably get caught here. They're doing a decent job. They're going to clear all these SAMs in the south. Maybe not this last one. It's still so much units. It's got to be a relatively sweaty situation for Nickname. Matrix's army in the south is nearly entirely cleared up. This is a very safe port. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so Bear Eagles goes for port and another town. These commando drops are going to go all the way back onto this airport. Great play. And indirectly, those transport planes from Matrix are going to scout that port in the bottom here. And with this army cleaned up, blue and red can start pushing to the north, and that's what we're about to see. It's just so many factories for orange and blue that without a rocket, so Deedland is building a rocket, but without a rocket it'd be hard to stand up like a conventional force to handle this if you're a Bravo team. Nickname's on what's going to be a 4th factory, and Matrix is on 3 factories. And because of all the SAMs here for Alpha Team, it's hard for Deedland's planes to be of super use. Things like this could work, where these 3 tanks are going to kill all these SAMs, or that's what the goal will likely be. But really, when you compare whatever we just said, like 7 factories for Alpha or for Bravo Team in the center against whatever this is, the more amount of factories for Alpha Team, it just means Alpha Team over time is going to have more units. Tanks from Bigler are in the forest now, fighting artillery and helicopters. Athena's still dealing with a little bit of gas problems. Bigler has retaken this position, which is a huge deal. And now Baylor's in trouble. I mean, Baylor's almost entirely not out of the game, but certainly when it comes down to like how much Baylor's able to protect the flank here in the north, it's tough because all the units are back in the top right, and this airport is going to get destroyed. There's still 2 helicopters for Tim, though, so they can help out destroying these tanks. The strikers get all of the SAMs, which is huge because it especially means that the next time that these strikers show up, they're going to be able to do even more damage because they're not going to focus on SAMs, they're going to focus entirely on artillery. We can see just how far Blade X artillery has got their attack in the city at this point. Nickname's got a cool defensive line around the city. But here comes this red and blue army. The airport was cleaned up. Subtly missed this, but good drop by Matrix. So those commandos definitely making themselves worthwhile. And now 3 refineries and a depot for Bigler to keep all these tanks moving. This is a great play. Not sure the status of the rocket. The 5 airports from Deedland. This is going to be the attack where these planes do a ton of damage. There's only 4 SAMs here for Alpha Team. And Bigler's tanks in the north are going to start capping and taking all this economy away from Alpha Team. So the first volley from the strikers destroy a handful of SAMs. There's another one reinforcing, but it's quickly dispatched. The last SAM for Bladek goes down, so now the strikers can focus entirely on the artillery and the ground units. A rocket on the way for Nickname. So it's 2 rockets for Bravo team at the moment. What a drop. Another great drop from Matrix, right on top of this town. 5 infantry for red are not going to be able to destroy 4 commandos in time. These 4 commandos are certainly going to destroy that town, which will in turn destroy the port attached to that town. Baylor's starting to push in the north with another factory on the way and another airport. And now it's some enormous amount of factories for Bigler that are pumping SAM tank, very strong unit compositions, very expensive. Good run by attempt from Bear Eagles, but they're going to run into a bunch of SAMs and all this infantry from Matrix, who is about to destroy this town. The commandos are attacking the infantry, which is fine because they're going to be able to take on both the infantry and the town. But maybe these red infantry are going to be able to buy enough time for these commandos and helicopters from Bear Eagles to show up. And nothing else on the map matters until we made sure that that actually did happen. Okay, so when I said nothing else on the map matters, that sort of matters. There's other stuff on the map that matters. That was the first rocket, I think it must have been Deedlin's rocket, that destroys some production facilities for Bladek, who puts them down immediately again. Tanks and SAMs against artillery and SAMs and 1 tank. The tanks will actually do relatively decent here. You can see just the power of tanks with how well they trade in this situation. And there's more tanks reinforcing, which is the bigger problem. Dealing strikers are just a huge asset for Bravo team right now. Because it's tough. Like, Alpha team would want to make SAMs, but for every SAM that they make, it's 1 less fighting unit to deal with all this artillery and tanks of Nickname, and tanks and SAMs of Bigler, who's making good progress here in the forest. And I think that is actually the turning point. And Bravo team is going to take this game. Because this push in the north is not going to stop. Bigler's sending everything right in front of this forest. There's not enough units from Athena to defend this. There's not enough airplanes to be able to deal with these tanks. And even if there were a bunch of airplanes, there'd have to be like quite a few of them. Because there are 5 SAMs, 4 now, in amongst these tanks. Deedland strikers are going right here. They're going to be able to start attacking all of these production facilities alongside Bigler. They might attack all these SAMs from Bladek, but then Nickname's going to just send the tanks right on top of the SAMs, and that's exactly what happens. Nickname is going to command these tanks on top of the SAMs. Big tanks against mini tanks. And the big tanks will clean that up. Matrix now can sense blood in the water, so it's starting to push. And we have to press shift backspace. Okay, here we go, and now we're back to this. Athena's out of the game. And we know it's very difficult to come back once you lose a teammate. So Bladek is gone, Athena's also gone, Tim Bailey resigns, which just leaves Bear Eagles 88 in a 1v4. Which is it's not going to be possible. I mean, we can see how much time is left in the game. I never really look up here, but I can guarantee you that barring Bravo team all leaving right now, this game's over. It's very difficult to come back once you lose 1 teammate, let alone 3. But well played. Both sides. Cool plays. Let's check the graphs. Let's see how close it was. Yeah, Bravo Team 1. Okay. Relatively close on the income. GG. Folks, if you want to learn more about the game, you can check out the Line War Discord. Check out Twitch. I stream on there. Some folks do as well. It's SodaQuackers, same name as YouTube. Hope you have a wonderful day, night, evening, whatever it is. See you soon. Peace.